Alright, today we're looking at this foam and foil keyboard that I think needs some more attention out there. This is actually a pretty good foam and foil board. I was surprised. Yeah, this is an AST KB101, which is another foam and foil type keyboard. And I noticed it has a different type of foam and foil switch compared to BTC and Keytronic, which are like the biggest known ones out there. But there's some more, I guess, somewhat obscure, not as well known ones, this being one of them. And there's actually a lot to like about it. And for my time with this board, it was actually really quite decent. Yeah, let's see, getting into foam and foil right away. They have a kind of a sour reputation for a nasty key feel and sound, but have advantages for like having in-key rollover, like the capacitive durability and such. I think they did it right here. So let's dig in. So this is what the foam and foil switches look like for this thing. And messing with these, I kind of realized that there's both similarities to Keytronic and BTC foam and foil, but I think it's the best of both here. So these little rubber dome mats, buckling sleeve mats, there's like the one big mat for like the 60%, and there's like little strips for like all the rest of the board. Sort of like a BTC foam and foil. I'll pull it up. But like, this is where it gets more similar to Keytronic foam and foil. The switches are actually discrete units, and you can take them out of the plate. Okay. So the advantage of the BTC style of doing these rubber dome mats is that you get a very, actually quite snappy and satisfying and consistent tactile feel. Like, it's definitely up there with some of the nicer dome boards I've tried. It's actually quite a nice key feel. But then where it goes a little Keytronic side is these aren't quite as smooth as the BTC ones. Although thankfully the only one that really binds is the left control key, which I might have to stick some lube in to fix, but other than that, really none of the other keys have binding issues. And then also, like, Keytronic, it's got a similar mount, but I don't think they're cross-compatible. Some nice double shot caps with like legends that are a little bit narrower on these. The F and J keys have the deeper dishes, which is kind of cool. For BTC, a lot of their older ones use double shots, but then a lot of their later ones use their same crap pad printed keycaps. Another really cool observation that I noticed while taking this apart to clean everything, because under the keycaps it was really filthy, is that like when you take the plate off from the PCB, you'd expect all the sliders to fall out, but they actually don't. And I think this is actually really part of the cleverness of the design of these switches. There's like some extra retaining parts that prevent these from like falling out loosely falling out of the housings, which is really great. And I think there's a dual purpose to that, and that is to mitigate the mushiness of these. Because like if you like press down like on the slider itself, there's like a firm bottom out, which, yes, these basically have no mushiness to them, which, you know, as weird to say it that is about a foam and foil board, it's true. These are even less mushy than tactile foam and foil BTCs, which are still pretty good. They are a little bit mushy. But these, though, there's no mushiness, and like This feels like a very nice, like normal rubber dome, but it's capacitive, and there's all the benefits from that. And none of the foam pads on mine have decomposed, so, which is really great. I mean, it's on all the way. Build quality of this is actually really quite nice. It's pretty dense and tough. It's got a really thick metal mounting plate. And it's not super heavy, but it's very dense and well put together. So, very impressed by there. The stabilizers are actually quite interesting, though. And so, taking a look at the stabilizers, they have like these undermounted housings. And sort of like the same benefit of having the foam and foil sliders not fall out, like these don't fall out either. It's actually a pretty neat design because they slide into those little square holes in the cap. And like the wire, it's like an undermounted co-star kind of thing, which is really interesting. I've never seen a stabilizer type like that before. And yes, there are a few different colored domes, which I think they may be stiffer, but in reality, I didn't feel that much difference from a weighting. Arrow keys are kind of cool as well. I mean, bigger than normal arrows, but not like the fat arrow keys, but we're getting there. Really, overall, it's not a bad looking board, and this like gray strip at the top isn't that bad. Although, one interesting thing I've pointed out is the scroll lock key. Because I use Linux, and in Linux, the scroll lock key doesn't light up by default. And when I noticed that, I'm like, does it speak XT or something? Because, XT will use keyboard-controlled lock lights if it has them. But, I don't know, I think that's weird, but I feel like this is supposed to be a normal XT kind of board, but using Linux, scroll lock usually doesn't light up unless you like put a command in the terminal to tell it to do that. But this, I don't know, I just find that a little interesting. So I wonder if there's a little bit of protocol weirdness that somehow my converter still seems to pick up. I don't know. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the back of this keyboard. Like, as you can see, like the back panel is actually gray compared to the beige on the front. Got a nice, pretty decent coiled cable with a cable gutter here. And like absolutely massive screws there on the case. Like probably the biggest screws I've seen. These are bigger than the ones on the AT101Ws. Pretty nice flip out feet. And here is the sticker. And then it's got a date, November of 1989. So I mean, there's some good stuff in this thing. I guess summarizing this thing, it's pretty good. It's really got a great key feel. I guess going BTC, it's got a great key feel. Decent enough sound, I think. And then for Keytronic is where it shines in the build quality kind of thing, and sort of how the foam and foil assembly is put together. But I think really having the advantages of Keytronic and the advantages of BTC foam and foil boards put together in here makes this for quite an excellent foam and foil board. Like, I really enjoyed the BTC one that I have, although that one had a really rattly upstroke, so I put silencing rings in that. Although this one you don't really need to do that, but because this one has a really consistent and nice tactile feel, I think wins it over for me. And like the fact that it has completely zero mush, and like the fact that all the Keytronic weaknesses are gone on this pretty much, because I mean, just besides this key from binding, none of the keys really have a binding problem here. So if you like the idea of a foam and foil board, definitely give this one a shot. I was actually surprised how nice this one was. So without further ado, thank you all for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed, and that'll be it.